All right, let's talk about a really different way of thinking about politics and social change. It's this idea that maybe the most powerful thing you can do isn't to fight over the system we have, but to just build a totally new one from scratch. I mean, have you ever just felt completely stuck? You're watching the news, scrolling online, and it's just this endless cycle of conflict. It feels like every argument just digs the trenches deeper, right? It makes you wonder, there has to be another way to actually make things better. The writings we're digging into today, they don't pull any punches. They talk about these huge, almost uncontrollable forces that are just ripping our world apart at the seams. And, I mean, does that sound familiar? You see it everywhere. The news, your town, maybe even your own family gatherings. So, faced with all this chaos, the Baha'i approach is, well, it's pretty radical. It's a core principle of not getting involved in partisan politics at all. And let's be super clear here, this is not about apathy or checking out. It's a very specific, very deliberate choice. So, what does that actually mean? Well, it's way more than just not picking a party. It's seen as a sacred duty to completely abstain from anything that even looks like taking a side in politics. We're talking no blaming, no picking a team. You're essentially opting out of the whole us versus them game. It's a huge commitment. And the sheer scope of this is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. It's not just, don't post political stuff online. It's about everything. What you say, what you do, who you associate with. We're talking about a total pivot away from the entire machine that creates all this division. Okay, so this brings up the big, obvious question, doesn't it? If the system is so broken, why on earth wouldn't you get in there and try to fix it? Why step back? And here is the heart of the matter. The perspective here is that these systems aren't just faulty, they're in a process of complete collapse. They're going down. And if you jump in trying to fix them, you're not going to save the system. The system is going to absorb you. It's not just ineffective, it's destructive. It will literally pull you down with it and destroy the very energy you need to build something better. So, the Baha'i perspective sees history right now as this push and pull between two giant processes. You've got disintegration on one side, that's all the old stuff breaking down. But at the same time, you've got integration, this constructive force that's all about building unity. And really, the question for everyone is, which one are you going to put your energy into? So the strategy becomes crystal clear. You pour all your energy into building, into that process of integration. The whole idea is to create a blueprint, a working model for a new kind of community. That way, when the old ways have finally run their course, there's a real, tested alternative ready to go. Okay, but this non-involvement thing doesn't mean you just become a hermit, right? It's not about hiding from the world. It's about this tricky balance of being engaged without getting tangled up in the mess. So how does that even work? What does it look like day to day? And this is where it gets really nuanced, so check this out. Baha'is are actually encouraged to be good citizens, to obey the law, even vote in civil elections, as long as it's not tied to a party. They can absolutely be involved in promoting things like racial justice and unity. But here's the line. No affiliation with political parties. No taking sides in conflicts. No civil disobedience. The focus is always on promoting the principle, like justice for all, without getting sucked into the partisan machinery that so often uses those very principles to divide people. It's a fine line, but it's a really important one. And this all comes down to one core idea. How you do something is just as important as what you're doing. You can't use conflict and division to try and build a world of unity and peace. It just doesn't work. The tools you use have to match the world you're trying to create. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about the ultimate goal here. Because this whole approach isn't really about what you're staying away from, it's all about what you're actively trying to build. And the vision is huge. It's about establishing a whole new pattern for how we live together, a pattern based on one foundational idea, the oneness of humankind. And this isn't some far-off utopia. It's a learning process that's happening right now in communities all around the world, trying to figure out how to make that principle a social reality. So what are the building blocks of this new civilization? Well, just think about some of these concepts. What if we truly believed that our souls have no race or gender or class? What if science and religion were seen as two sides of the same coin, both helping us understand reality? Imagine if we saw justice as the absolute key to unity, or if we thought of power not as a tool for domination, but as a limitless capacity to transform things for the better. This is the kind of world they're working to build. And that leaves us with a really provocative thought. In a world that's so consumed by fighting over the pieces of a broken system, what if the most radical, the most political act you could possibly take is to just build something new? To focus all of your energy not on tearing down the old, but on constructing a new and unifying alternative for everyone?